Hey guys, welcome back to another today's video. And this is going to be a new and different discussion-based video because this is going to be the start of my new discussion-based series titled Fixing American Democracy. And I wanted to make this video for a while now, simply because I have so many solutions and so many ideas on how we can fix American democracy and our elections to make them more democratic and free and fair that will ultimately create a government that is truly by the people, of the people, and for the people. And as Ross Perot and George Bush and Bill Clinton said in the 1992 presidential election,
change and sacrifice.
Let's go get it on.
Let's get it on. Let's get it on.
From St. Louis, NBC News, Decision 92, the presidential debate.
So for the first episode of this discussion-based series on fixing American democracy, I really wanted to start talking about how we can reform the Commission on Presidential Debates and some of the changes that I would ultimately make. But before I begin, let's understand what the Commission on Presidential Debates is. It's pretty much a non-profit corporation established in the year of 1987 under the joint sponsorship of the Democratic and Republican political parties in the United States. This is to expose candidates where they can share their political opinions and public policy proposals and respond to criticisms of them to potential voters. This is to help persuade a lot, if we do have undecided voters in elections, help persuade those undecided voters so they can voice their opinions and still vote in the election of who they're going to vote for. And overall, I think the Commission on Presidential Debates is actually it's really great because it's a way for voters to know their candidates and know what policy platforms they're standing on, and it helps the candidates to contrast their policies and their vision from the different candidates as well. And I think debates is always a good thing for our democracy overall. And so let's begin on the major reforms that I would make to the Commission on Presidential Debates. First of all, one of the reforms that I would ultimately make is muted microphones. And as you may know, this is a common reform that the Commission on Presidential Debates already made. And I think muted microphones, after the final presidential debate between Trump and Biden, I think muted microphones is actually a good thing because it helps produce some sense of civility in debates and making sure debates are very productive and making sure candidates are given equal amount of time so they can contrast their visions between the other candidates so they can persuade other voters to come join them and vote for them pretty much. And overall, I actually agree with muted microphones. I used to disagree with it, but after watching the final presidential debate, I think it's actually a good thing overall. And as well, but it doesn't just end here. Like another reform that I would make is like when we have like open discussion portions of a presidential debate, the mute button should not be available. This should allow where the moderator can't mute the other candidates when it comes to an open discussion on certain key issues where the different presidential candidates are in an open discussion. They're sharing their ideas, they're sharing their policy making, where they can where they share their solutions on how they would fix the overall problems that is facing the U.S. like right now, like COVID-19, healthcare, unemployment, the economy, how they can give American voters a sense of hope that things will get better under their administration than their political opponents. As well, another like major reform that I would make to the presidential debates is to have more town hall style presidential debates, where instead of the moderators asking the questions, it's actually everyday American voters giving asking questions to the different presidential candidates. And I think overall, having more town hall debates where the voters ask the questions to the candidates, I think that's overall better because voters can, I just feel like voters can get their voice out there. Voters would be a little bit more heard now because if candidates are responding to the everyday voters, um, I, it would make it feel more like that the people are better being served overall, and 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 the purpose like of the moderators in these type of debates, their job is to making sure the candidates get equal time to speak and making sure there's really not that many interruptions as well. Because when a candidate has it, when it's a candidate's turn to speak, they can mute the microphone when it's not an open discussion. That candidate's microphone when it's not in an open discussion portion of the debate. But overall, I think a town hall style debate would be a good thing, where the moderator just making sure that he gives all the candidates equal time to speak and making sure he's abiding by the rules that the Commission on Presidential Debates has set during all these debates. As well, I would have like at least 3 mandatory presidential debates for all the presidential candidates that are running, because I think overall, I think I actually think having 3, like, this is like common sense. I think debates are always a good thing for our democracy because it gets the candidates a reason to actually, it helps them get their message out there. It helps them get their vision, where they can actually contrast their policies and their differences between them and the other, and them sharing that their vision, that their solutions are a lot more positive, and that will bring the country into a better position than their political opponents where they stand on the issues. And I think realistically, having 3 mandatory debates would always be a good thing overall, and with at least 1 mandatory vice presidential debate as well between the vice presidential candidates. But my changes and my ideas on reforming the Commission on Presidential Debate, this doesn't stop here, because the monumental change that I would make overall to the Commission on Presidential Debates is change/remove the 15% polling requirement that third-party candidates need to be on the presidential debate stage, because I'm a big fan of more choices, allowing more candidates to be on the debate stage, because I think it would be better for the voters. It would produce more of a healthier democracy, because like what we know in the business world, when you have more choices for consumers, the prices on goods and services will go down, and the quality of goods and services will go up. And I think that's the same definition in politics. More choice to the voters would allow where the voters would be more heard, and you have more better policy and better policymaking decisions and legislation that are being produced for the voters that they elected the candidates for. And I think realistic, and plus as well, I think the 15% polling requirement rule is kind of stupid, because right now, under the system, the Commission on Presidential Debates is pretty much controlled by the Democrats and Republicans, and they're trying all their best to making sure third parties don't, where it makes it virtually impossible for third party candidates and independent candidates to compete with them, because they just want power. And overall, I think if we remove the 15% polling requirement that's needed for third-party candidates to be on the debate stage, I think it would just produce much more of a healthier democracy overall. And as well, if let's say if Jo Jorgensen and Howie Hawkins was on the 2020 presidential debate stage between Trump and Biden, and I just think realistically you would have more of a productive debate. And I feel like some of these undecided voters who don't like Trump and Biden, they may want to vote for Jo Jorgensen. They might want to vote for Howie Hawkins if they can hear where they stand on most of the issues. Because overall, and people say like third party candidates, oh, they split the vote. Well, they only split the vote because if the voters don't like the 2 major parties candidates. And I don't think and I'm always for more choices, and I really want voters to think outside of the outside of the 2-party system. I think it's good for democracy where we're no longer just hearing from Democrats and Republicans. Let's hear from the Libertarians. Let's hear from the Greens. Hell, the Libertarian Party is even on the even on the ballot in all 50 states, plus the District of Columbia, that's a total of 530 electoral votes. That should give them the qualification to be on the presidential debate stage. They don't need the 15% poll requirement. As well, the Green Party presidential candidate, I don't remember the exact number actually, but they're on the ballot in enough states that where it's mathematically possible for them to to get a majority in the Electoral College. That should be more of a qualification for the Libertarian presidential candidate and the Green Party presidential candidate to be on the national debate stage between Trump and Biden, or between the Republican and Democratic candidates. But overall, in the comment section below, let me share your ideas on how we can reform the Commission on Presidential Debates overall. And do you agree and disagree with my reform ideas on how I would reform and fix the Commission on Presidential Debates? But don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, guys, this is the Young Centrist, and I am out.